Thanks for coming. I would like to just start by saying thanks, Vidur, for this great help that you're doing. And guys, he's one of the fantastic experts in this field, and you should take it as a privilege to get some, insights from this field, which is something coming up new, and there's a lot of new developments happening around the world. It's going to impact the life not just of the people who are in the business of handling IT security, but also for anybody who's using any kind of digital medium directly or indirectly will be influenced by this, these factors, and that we need to be aware of that. So I can only just say welcome from my personal behalf, and I ask Matthew to introduce Vidur to the larger audience.
Good morning, everybody, and good morning, Vidur, and thanks first of all for coming here and joining us. I must start with little apologies because I know only very little what I've read about you in LinkedIn. He's to the audience here, I would like to introduce him. He is actually a partner in the security area of EY. And he has about 20 years of experience. And I don't know, I just read all the degrees he have, then I left it like that, all the certifications on this. And, as per my son who is working with you in EY, he has told me he is regarded as one of the experts world over, even in EY, in these areas, cyber security and so. It's a great privilege and honor to have you here, Vidur. I hand over the session to you because, of the time limitations. Thank you, and let you introduce yourself. Thank you, Vidur.
Sure. Thank you very much, Koshi, and thank you very much, Matthew, for that warm welcome. Yes, I'll just call myself as a cybersecurity professional. Absolutely right. Have been working in this area for almost 19-20 years. So, one of the old timers when it used to be called as information security kind of a thing. And as we go along, I think I'll try to touch upon all those definitions and pieces. What I will do is, my intent was that perhaps use next 45 odd minutes to run through a few slides that I have just to bring in a context. Please do let me know if my screen is visible to everyone. If someone can just confirm on that.
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, what I will do is maybe I'll request all the students and everybody. There are few slides which I am gonna specifically focusing on. I do intend to spend some more time, and some of them maybe just as a quick touch on the topic. Just thought, always thought to start on a lighter note. I do not know if some of you can relate to this. What essentially it's trying to say is many of us, I know, and the reason I'm saying many of us are still guilty that what we do is that we try to jot down the password somewhere, maybe not as explicit as putting it on the computer itself on the sticky, but we still do have a habit. We write it down in our diary, or we just write it down in a common available place, and then of course it defeats the purpose. So as I was saying, I think I'll use the next 40-45 odd minutes to broadly cover why cybersecurity is important. I would definitely request each one of you to specifically be with me and spend a little undivided attention for the second section, which is around basic pillars of information security and cybersecurity. I do understand that many of you have taken that as a subject, and going forward you will be studying more details about it. But I thought at least just if you understand the very basic concepts that, what is information security, what constitutes information security, it's going to help you. It's going to help you in keeping in your back of your mind as you go along and as you do your studies in that course. And third, I thought, let me just briefly touch that as a country. I'm sure many of you would have heard information security in information security we don't do enough. we don't have enough laws or we don't have enough policies. To an extent, yes, I do agree. India is still evolving. I won't call it we are completely lagging behind, but we are lagging as per what the times are. So absolutely right. I just wanted to touch that we already have some laws, we have some policies, some frameworks available. So just for everybody to get familiar, and as I said, the last 15 minutes, I would be more than happy to get some questions and queries. One of the very quick things, and I'm glad Koshi did touch on that first part, was that everything nowadays is digital. I will come to this slide for a moment, but just remember, each one of us has mobile, or perhaps you would have seen now, whatever you do, you for example, you go to a electricity department for taking a new connection or depositing your bill. You go to a telephone department, or your even own mobile, and many of you can relate. Most of us, at least in my student life, I remember we used to have the prepaid mobile, and I used to walk to a shop and ask him to recharge. Now most of you do it online, right? I'm sure many of you would be aware there's a particular website, Airtel or Vodafone or whichever, you go to that website online and recharge your mobile, right? So the intent is that each one of us are using so much of digital services, so much of IT services, if I may call it in a very layman term, and therefore cybersecurity becomes important. Anything which is being run by digital, by IT layer, there is an underlying information security or a cyber security, which is very important part of it. As we also go along right now, for the presentation, please bear with me that I will use information security and cyber security as a synonym. In fact, over the years, that's what has happened. Information security, earlier we used to call ourselves as information security professionals or information security services in my role that I do at my professional life, but nowadays it is cyber security. It's broadly same. There are some minor difference. I will come to that. So I think that what I wanted to touch on, and you can see from the web, from the news articles, and most of them are of in last 3 months or 6 months kind of a thing. And in fact, in last 2-3 months, number of cyber attacks, number of attacks on banks, number of attacks on electricity, power electricity, or even nuclear plants, and some of those things have been really increasing. So unfortunately, it's a real scenario. I do not know how many of you have seen a movie called Die Hard 4. I would suggest it's there's an actor called Bruce Willis, and the movie is called Die Hard 4. Maybe whenever over the weekend or when you have some free time, do look at that movie. It's almost a 10-year-old movie. The reason I'm specifically quoting it, almost 12 years back, they were showcasing scenarios like, what if everything is connected? What if somebody's sitting on computer? Like, for example, right now I'm sitting at my home. Is there a way that I can bring down electricity? Can I attack a city? Can I attack, for example, I'm sitting in Gurgaon near Delhi right now. Can I cause damage to that? Is that possible? Is it possible that traffic lights near my house, where I stay, there are main roads, there are traffic lights. Can I block those traffic lights? Can I, if it's a red traffic light, can I make it green? Sounds a little fictitious, sounds like a movie, I'm sure many of you will say, and that's what it was 12 years back, but all that is actually happening. There are instances, there are news, there are valid examples where it has happened, that somebody sitting at his house, somebody sitting in one remote corner can impact a corner, a road where suddenly all traffic lights become green. And I'm sure, while it might sound a little funny, but you can imagine, many of you can, I'm sure you drive your two-wheelers, your cars, you can imagine that what if everything is green, for all 4 directions, everybody, it's a green light, what will happen? It will just create a chaos, and it can even it might lead to accident or some damage like that, right? So some of those things nowadays are becoming very, very real, unfortunately. What are the very basic pieces of cybersecurity or cyber attacks? And I really like the title line, which it says is it's no longer matter of if, but when. What does it mean? So let me explain. In our profession or in our world, what it means is that cyber attack or a cyber breach is almost inevitable. So it's not that it happen with me, will it happen with some other organization. When I say me, I'm saying as a citizen, as an individual. I have my Gmail account, I have my say ICICI bank account, or my my office email ID. Is it that it will never happen to me, or is it that I don't know? Maybe it will happen today, maybe it will happen 6 months later, or maybe I don't even know 6 months back my account was hacked or compromised. Somebody might have taken information or might not have. And I'll take an example of which many of you may be able to relate to. You might have seen specifically around Facebook or Twitter, many of us, suddenly the account starts posting a lot of things, or maybe a lot of friend requests goes out from our Facebook things to unknown people, to a lot of people, kind of a thing, or maybe some nasty messages, something offensive, something bad about other person is typed on the message, and the later on that particular individual says, no, I did not write it, but yes, it was by my account. So that is something which many of us can relate to. I'm sure you would have heard of somebody which that kind of a thing has happened. So why is cyber attacks so predominant, or why is it happening so much? One of the very important first things, there's a huge online presence. I give example, be it individual. Again, I'm relating back to you guys when you were, you all are in college. When I was in college, I did not have anything called Facebook or anything called Twitter or LinkedIn and these things. Today, each one of us, I as a office goer, I do have all these presence, and I'm sure most of you as students, you have WhatsApp, you have Facebook, you have a lot of things which are online present, kind of a thing. So that's about social media. A term which you will later on hear quite a lot is called BYOD, which essentially means bring your own device. What it means is that nowadays you can use your own devices. Earlier, what used to happen is, and I'm again telling you that, when I started my job, when I started my work, the laptop used to be provided by the company, by the organization where I'm working. And that was the only place I could log in. I could use my email with that. I could use my office files with that. But that's it. That was the only thing. Nowadays, what is happening is that, yes, Office has given me a laptop, but Office has also told, you know what, you have your own mobile, Vidur. Why don't you use email on the mobile itself? Why don't you use some of the office files from your mobile itself? Or if as Vidur, I have maybe an iPad or some of the other thing, they're saying it's okay. You can connect. Don't worry. We will put some basic security thing, but you can connect from your own device. So what it is doing is that the control which earlier a company had or somebody had, when they gave me only one computer or one thing to connect, now they are letting me connect from three things: computer, my mobile, my pad, or whatever. So therefore, that's something which definitely brings in a lot of cybersecurity threats. As you go along, you will understand. Yes, the cloud services have been increasing. I'm sure many of you can relate what is cloud services, where it's a concept that you don't have physical servers. You're not storing information on your computer or your servers, but that is being stored somewhere outside. That is being stored by somebody else. And one of the most important, of course, is that there are so many people, so many, all of us being connected to each other, kind of a thing. That definitely brings in more vulnerability. Each one of us, like for example, right now, 20 years back, I would have not thought that in my college somebody is presenting, giving me a session or a presentation sitting 3,000 kilometers away or 5,000 kilometers away. Now all that is a reality. Now that also is a reality that my colleague sitting 5,000 kilometers away, for example, Koshi works out of Mumbai, I work out of Delhi. So everyone is connected. So we are connecting from so many different places, different locations. So that also brings in challenges. One of the things if many of you can see this screen, I'm sure it looks a little busy. I'll give a very, very basic example that why cybersecurity attacks are also becoming a threat. When all this started around 1990s and all, what used to happen is people used to do attacks or create nuisance just as for fun, and that's what you can see on towards the left hand side, which is about doing it for amusement, doing just for experiment, or they're just downloading certain things for fun. But now, as we go along, people started realizing that this is something which they can definitely do for gaining money, and therefore you see a lot of those attacks, a lot of these things happening at bank level. Maybe my bank account is being compromised, or my something which has information about me, that started happening. Then eventually what happened, as we moved along, people realized that I can cause damage to somebody using online media or using IT, which essentially means that can I use it for personal gain? Can I use it to do some stock price manipulation? That's just an example. But yes, that is something which is possible. That is something which is feasible. As we go along, it started becoming like an organized crime, and therefore you will see, you would have heard a lot of news articles do come in that credit cards are available for sale, or personal information, like for example, what is Vidur's home address, what is Vidur's phone number, or maybe even information about my bank accounts, that Vidur has a bank account with ICICI or HDFC. All that information is now available for sale. And some of you may ask, what is that used for? Why do I want to know Vidur and Vidur's phone number or address? How will it help me? Yes, as an individual, you may just wonder if it's just for one person. But if I tell you I'm going to give you 10,000 name and addresses, or 10,000 name and phone numbers, what you can use it for, if you are in marketing, if you are into selling something, you have ready available data. You that a valid person exists, and that is his mobile number. You can advertise something. You can advertise about car, your phone, or any of those things. It is something which can be used. But if I also use it on a flip side, somebody with a negative intention, somebody with a intention to cause damage, now he knows that yes, there is someone with Vidur, and he has an email account, he has a mobile account. So maybe I can try and fool him. Maybe I can do some fraud with him. Many of you would have seen those emails or links we get. Click here to win a gift voucher, or your account has been credited with 10,000 rupees. Just give us your username, and that's it. You will get 10,000 rupees in your account. Some of those things. So that becomes like an organized crime. And in last few years, we've also seen that a cyber attack or cyber security is also becoming a weapon. So when I say weapon, what does it mean? When I say weapon, it essentially means that sometimes even military, army, or different countries are using it against each other. And I'll give a basic example. I'm purposely keeping it fairly, trying to use simple examples that many of you can relate to. If God forbid, we've been having some difficult times at our borders. All of you would have been reading newspapers that with some of our neighboring countries. Now, just imagine that if one of the neighboring country, like China and all, somebody had to attack our power plant. Just for a hypothetical, and let me take an example of Delhi itself, because Delhi is a political capital. All the senior ministers and senior politicians sit here. What if they had to attack the power plant of Delhi, or the electricity grid of Delhi, and they had to, by using that cyber attack, they could bring it down. So what it means is that everything will just suddenly switch off. People will not have connectivity. I do have my mobile, but my mobile gonna last for 4 hours, 5 hours, and then after that, there's no battery. So what will happen? Even if you just imagine that scenario, it's such a scary thing. But that is something which is possible, and that is something which maybe different countries can use against each other. And you would be glad to know that and I'm a little surprised, if I may say, that each of the countries, including India, each one of us have been preparing our cyber army or cyber this thing. Now, of course, different countries would have different maturity, but each one of them definitely acknowledge cyber as a weapon, and therefore they are preparing themselves to defend. That how can we be more stronger to protect any of these instances. As I move along, as I mentioned that this was the section I definitely want each one of you to pay a little attention. So maybe if many of you were trying to do 2 screens or have minimized this window and doing something else, I'll just request if you can come back to the screen. Just a quick, on a lighter note, again, I do not know if many of you can relate. What do we do? What is the easiest password? Most of us keep a password of maybe the locality where I stay, maybe a pet, maybe a dog or a cat, or maybe my parents' name, my friend's name. That's a very common mistake that many of us do. I'm sure just to re-emphasize that whenever you're selecting a password, be it for your college ID, be it for your bank account, or any of those things, please try to select something which is not very obvious, not something like your name, your birth date, or your cousin's name, kind of thing. Okay, so next 10-15 minutes, I want you guys to pay a little specific attention to the slides. Remember, I was talking about that there is a difference between information security and cyber security, and why earlier it used to be called information security kind of a thing. So when we say information as a word, information is a slightly broader word. What it means is that any data, any information which is available to me, either in a hard copy form, which essentially means some printouts, and in offices, in all the offices, you will see a lot of files, a lot of information which is there, or even in your college, you would see, for example, question paper. I'm just giving you an example. Question paper is a hard copy information. It is very important because it is physically available. Or your exam sheets, what you have filled in when you're giving exam. A second is electronic information. Electronic, what is available in my laptop, what is available on a CD, what is available on a USB drive, that is electronic. And then intangible information, which is essentially what I have stored here. So for example, I have seen some important document. Again, I'm taking an example like I've seen the question paper, which is going to be released tomorrow morning. Maybe I'm part of. What if I'm a printer? I run my printing company, or I'm the courier company who's going to take it from the printing printing shop to your college. By the time it reaches MJC, it will have maybe the courier boy has access to that question paper, right? So it's intangible. It's with him, that him or her, that person. So all these three things combined is information, and that is what information security is about. That you, how do you protect even hard copy? So the example I used, now what does, I'm sure MJC as well as other colleges, what do? They ensure they very strictly inform the printing shop that, please seal the question paper, please put it in a brown envelope, again put it in another envelope, put a seal or put a like a stamp saying that it cannot be opened. That's kind of a thing. For electronic information, as I was telling, that we put passwords. We also as we go along in the concept, we'll also see that there is a mechanism where I can define who can open it, and that that you might have seen. It happens that sometimes you would have seen. I don't know if many of you take the your mobile bill online, like you receive email about your mobile bill or email about certain bills, and it has a unique password. It says your name and your birth date is the one which is there. So what it means is that even if that bill or that document goes to somebody else, he or she will not be able to open it, but till they have a password. And of course, the intangible information. There are many of these things which are, many of those measures which are taken. I'll take an example of, for example, where I work or where Koshi works. Like, for example, we follow up a principle that, whatever meetings we are doing, whatever information we are gathering, either from the meetings we are doing with our clients or internally, we can't take that out. We can't discuss it out. One, we sign a non-disclosure agreement. We legally promise to our company that we will not share that information. More important, there are measures, there are penalties, there are mechanisms which are defined that you cannot share that information. I'll take that same example. Maybe there will be, for example, when colleges are printing their question papers or this thing, they will have very, very limited people. They will tell that, we will have somebody representative of our college standing there when you're printing or when you're putting it in an envelope to seal it, kind of a thing. So that's there. Or there are controls. I know they would put that only 1 or 2 people should be available when they are printing, kind of a thing. So that information, that intangible information, does not go out. So what to protect? I think I did talk about, you want to protect the information, you want to protect the equipment. So as in, I want to protect my laptop where the information is stored, or the medium also. That's also one of the important things. As hackers are evolving as they're becoming more intelligent, what they've also tried to do is they can tap into your network. Now, what it means? What it means that when my information is going from my computer to the server, in between someone can tap it. I know it sounds like a slightly funny concept, but if I can visually relate to you, you might have seen that maybe in a lot of if I may say rural places, or sometimes in smaller places, a lot of people put a wire onto the electricity line. You would have seen electricity pole is going, electricity line is going, and someone has just put a wire and then using it for their home or something, right? Maybe some of you would have seen it when you're going out, when you're going somewhere. So that is like, what do we call it? That it's an electricity theft. Somebody has tapped into electricity. That's the, I'm just giving you a very basic visual correlation that you can relate to. Somewhat similar, just for the understanding scenario. Someone can actually do that while information is traveling from one place to other place, can hackers break into the wire and try to steal that information. Yes, that is also important. And then, of course, third, we talked about the people who use it. If I have some confidential information, if I have some important information, I need to be cautious. I need to be careful. And obviously, my office or whosoever that information belongs to, they will also put some mechanisms on me that Vidur, please be important, please be careful about it. This is one of the very common jokes which is there in cybersecurity professional, that if I have a laptop, if I physically lock it, if I just completely shut it down, is this secure? The joke goes on is that I do not know, even if it is a powered off, sealed in a sealed room with armed guards, would it still be secure? Logically, it sounds yes, it will be secure, but why it says is that I still have a doubt. The reason is, there can be mechanisms. There are mechanisms when people can remotely switch on your machine. They can remotely switch on your laptop. They can remotely switch on your camera and all those things. And that is why you would have heard many times, especially for students and younger people, we say whenever because each one of us are very fond of Facebook or video chat and all that. Whenever you do a video chat or whenever you do Facebook or some of those things, please close your camera or put a small like a tape or a small sticky to it, because there are cases where some people with bad intentions, wrong intentions, can remotely use your camera. They can switch it on and they can see what you're doing when you are in the room. So I think with that, I'll move to one of the most important slides, and I'm going to go really slow on that. When we say information security or cyber security, there are 3 or 4 key parts to it. The first part, and that's why I'm calling it like pillars. The first part is confidentiality. What does confidentiality means? Confidentiality means any information which is sensitive, that needs to be protected. I'm just using, if you can see on the screen, the example is credit card. Credit card, it's my name, the credit card number. There is something called CVV. If some of you have started using a credit card, you would know, that's a number that's a 3-digit number which we should never share with anybody, kind of a thing. So what is the first pillar of information security is confidentiality, that whatever is sensitive, please protect that information. The second pillar is integrity. Integrity of the information. What does it mean? It means that when the information passes from one place to other place, it should not be tampered. Let me give an example. I'll take the same example of maybe question paper. That it should not happen that when question paper was decided by college, maybe the principal, the senior teachers, and everybody, professors, would have defined a set of questionnaire. When that is being printed or when that was sent to the printing shop, it should not happen that somebody in between actually changed it. If I wrote question 1, 2, 3, and someone kept question 1 and 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but they changed the language. They changed the questions. Earlier it was supposed to be maybe you need to solve this algorithm. You need to do this, and someone just put a very simple question saying, please tell me what is 5 plus 5, and that's a 10 marks question. And I'm just saying on a lighter note, but I hope you understand the meaning of it. What I'm saying is that when an information is being passed from one place to another, it should not be tampered. It should not get changed, because otherwise that entire information is the meaning of that information is lost. So that's the second pillar, that keeping information intact and valid. The third pillar, and the most another important pillar is availability. What does availability means? Availability means that I should be able to access the information when I want to. Again, what does it mean? For example, you've heard of a lot of people saying, I think the net is down. I think the internet is down. I'm not able to access Google. I'm not able to access my, maybe Wikipedia. I want to use Wikipedia for something. So what it means is that whenever I want to access the information, it should be available. It should not be, someone should not say that this information is only available for certain time and later on that would not be available. So whenever that information is being asked for or is needed, that information should be available. So very important, and I'll just reiterate, 3 pillars: confidentiality, that is keeping the information, sensitive information protected; integrity, which essentially means keeping the information intact; and availability, that is keeping the information available. These are 3 basic pillars and backbone of information security. Nowadays, a 4th pillar is being added, which is called accountability. Now, what does accountability means? Accountability means that now you are responsible for somebody's information. What it means is, for example, again, if I'll take easy example. If I'm an Airtel or Vodafone, most of us use that. And you will remember when you bought the connection, prepaid, postpaid, but you're supposed to give your Aadhaar card, you're supposed to give your home address and all those things. So now Airtel has so much information. It has information about me, it has information about you, so many students, my neighbors, everybody has taken Airtel connection. So they have so much information. Now it is their responsibility. It is Airtel is accountable to keep that information secure. So therefore, these 4 pieces, 3 pieces, which is confidentiality, integrity, availability. In fact, in your course also, I'm sure when you go along, when you're taking the classes about information security, you will hear this term called CIA. It is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And this is something which is very important. Any of them, if it is compromised, we say that information security has been breached. Any of the thing. So what it means is that if my sensitive information leaks out, yes, it is anyways an information security, which you all can relate. Anything which is, if my integrity has been broken, if I sent a message to you saying 5 + 5 = 10, and you receive the information called 5 + 8 = 13. So that information is compromised. And then availability, that when I want to access, if I want to access Google or if I want to access Wikipedia, that information should be available. Just quick myths of security. A lot of people always feel that I have antivirus, so I am comfortable. We have firewall. Many of these terms may be new to you. It's all right, but I'm sure antivirus is something you can relate to. Firewall also you can relate to, and kind of a thing. Or maybe many of you feel that I have backed up my data. I've put everything on my Gmail, or I have put it on my USB drive, therefore I should not worry about. Just myths, as we call it. If on the bottom of the slide you see something which is written in the slightly different color, yellowish, that the most important anything about information is that how it is being used, as well as in transit, as well as in rest. What it means is that when I'm using it, when I'm reading it, when I'm accessing it, if it is being sent from one person to other person, or if it is being stored, if it is kept at rest, at all the 3 places, at all the 3 things, you need to protect the information. Just some of those myths to continue. I did mention that you'll just hear we have firewall, we don't have to worry. One of the very important things, which is the 3rd bullet point, that 80% of security incidents are due to internal threats. What does internal threat mean? Internal threat means that if I am part of my organization, unfortunately, most of the internal employees, like own employees, they are the one who cause damage, and it is not intentional. Many times that damage is unintentional. Like I don't realize the importance of password. I just share the password with my colleague. I share the password with my family. I'll just say, okay, why don't you access my email also? Or I leave I don't, whenever somebody comes that, Vidur, please update your antivirus, I say, it's okay, I'm busy right now, please come later. I don't want to update my antivirus. So I know it's a very strong this thing, and lot of survey and statistical data is there to say that 80% of incidents or information security breaches happen because of internal people only. Maybe, taking your example, in your college, when you use computer, or when you're connecting to computer, kind of a thing, that sometimes we are not careful. What are we doing? Have we left it on? We are on an important page. I'm for example, I'm making my assignments, and I leave my computer on, so somebody can go and delete that information. Somebody can go into my profile and delete my assignments, whatever I've submitted. So those things is there. And one of the most important pieces we always say is security is everyone's responsibility. It's not the IT department is supposed to do, but each one of us is supposed to do. I know I did mention to you that I'll use 45 minutes. I'm already at almost 42 minutes. So the last section, but I just wanted to give you a very brief about what are the laws, policies, and frameworks which are already existing in India. And this will just give you a good flavor that where we are. And again, I know as part of your cybersecurity as a course, your syllabus also does touch on these things, so you will be studying about them in detail. One of the first thing I'll touch is National Cybersecurity Policy 2013. Many of you will be pleasantly surprised to know. I know in 2013, many of you were in school. You were maybe in sixth, seventh, or even in some of those classes. But you'll be surprised to know that India was one of the first countries to have a national level cybersecurity policy. Why am I so emphasizing? Why is it important, or something to feel pride about as a cybersecurity professional? The reason is it just shows that as a country, India was conscious that cybersecurity is important. So in 2013 itself, at that point of time, when this came in, it came in July 2013. We were one of the very few countries. What did it tell? It basically gave a very clear signal that India realizes the importance of computing. It realizes the importance of electronic transaction. We are going on a roadmap to create cybersecurity frameworks. We will make a structure that how we will protect our information security, how we will protect our cyberspace, and as a country we will have some laws, some legal frameworks, some regulatory frameworks. This was a broad policy. This was like a if I call it a guiding statement, guiding document. Yes, it was important that at least I have given my intent. I'm sure many of you would have heard this, that show me your intent, that you want to study or you want to work. So that was in some ways National Cybersecurity Policy was an intent which was communicated to the world, saying that India is serious about it. India is very serious about information security, information protection, or cybersecurity. In practical, what has happened is, yes, of course, I feel happy. I personally feel happy as a as someone who works in this area. The only unfortunate thing which happened with us is that the implementation, that on-ground implementation, that how that security policy will be followed by a country, got somewhere a little low or slow kind of a thing, and that's why you do not see so much stringent mechanisms which are currently available. But what I definitely want to highlight to you is something called Information Technology Act. You might have heard of something called IT Act 2000 or IT Act Amendment 2008. What does it mean? That we actually went ahead and defined some laws, some legal pieces, that what is electronic documents, or for example, that we started accepting digital signatures. You might have heard of this term, that now it's not, earlier the court of law, we all see that in older movies. You may recollect that this has not been signed, or this sign seems to be forged, so this document is not valid. Now the same thing is getting converted into digital, that if I have digitally signed, if I have electronically said that yes, it is I authorized that Vidur Gupta, then the court of law will also accept it. It will say, it can be any document, maybe a will, for example. Many of the people, we see that in the movies, that someone is writing a will, or for example, any document saying that this is my declaration, or this is the information I'm sending it, and it is digitally signed, which essentially means that Vidur is owning the ownership. He says that yes, I have read the document, I understand, I've seen what the contents are, and I confirm to you. What also the IT Act has is it talks about offenses and contraventions, which is essentially in terms of what are the penalties, what are the fines, if someone breaches, if someone does anything wrong in information security, what are the, can he or she be liable? Can police take action on him? Yes, they can. And of course, a justice dispensation system, which is essentially that do we have mechanism for cyber crimes? So all that is already available. Everyone should be aware that there is something available. And what I'm going to do is maybe just few of them I'll touch on. And one of the most important one is something called Section 43. What does Section 43 means? And I will take back the same example. You remember I was giving everybody an example about Airtel, that when we go for a connection, we ask for a prepaid or a postpaid connection, we give our address, we give our information. Now somebody like Airtel, I'm not saying that Airtel will do, but I'm just using it as an example, that someone like Airtel, if they had to leak our information, or if they had to give away our information, is there something which is available in the law that can someone put a penalty on Airtel? Can someone take them to court? Yes. Section 43 is around that. It says that you will be penalized if you create a damage to computer or computer systems. It's a very broad statement, but if you look at the second one, 43A, compensation for failure to protect data. I, as Vidur, I bought Airtel connection. I gave my home address, my information to Airtel, and I expect them to protect that information. I don't want everybody to know my home address. I don't want everybody to know my Aadhaar ID and those things. So it is Airtel's responsibility to protect it. Now, if they fail in that, there is a mechanism of compensation. So the intent of highlighting these sections, and these are just few of them, as you go along, as you study, or please use Google, maybe take help of Google, just go through IT Act and various things. You will see that many of them, so that how Indian judicial system, how Indian police have been using that. I'll specifically just take 30 seconds on something called 66A, which was punishment for sending offensive messages through communication service. This was an act. Right now, this has been struck down, which essentially means that Supreme Court in 2015 brought down that this particular act. Now, what it was and what does it mean? It essentially means that if I send derogatory messages, or if I send offensive messages to somebody through online. For example, maybe on Facebook, I write a bad message about you. I accuse you of something wrong, or I say something very wrong about you. You can actually say that it's an offensive message. Now, what was happening was, while the intention of this act was right, but sometimes people were misusing it. One is that people, of course, can write anything or everything about either the system or maybe about somebody's community. And I'm sure you would have seen that, unfortunately, a lot of time happens that we use Facebook, WhatsApp to use messages against one particular group, one particular state, one particular community, one particular type of people. It's I'm sure all of you know it's not at all good. It's sending or saying wrong things about anybody is not a good thing. I'm sure you all are good college students. You always follow that. But unfortunately, with this online thing, with Facebook, WhatsApp, that message can be sent to so many people. So the damage can be caused to so many. What I'm trying to say is, two, three of you are standing in a group and gossiping about somebody. It's just with three of you. You're just making fun or maybe laughing about somebody. But same thing, if you put it on your Facebook, it will suddenly reach 1,000 people. So the damage it can cause is fairly wide. So that's why there is a mechanism, if it is an offensive and if it is a unrealistic message kind of a thing, there are mechanisms that police can take over. I'll just use this is the last slide, and I know I'm short of time, but I purposely will take 5-7 minutes of question Q&A as well. The last thing is that when you start reading about information cybersecurity, you will come across something called International Standard Organization, ISO 27001. It is one of the most widely accepted information security standards and globally, worldwide. Indian organizations, Indian institutes, colleges, various people, and even globally do adopt. What is, just for everybody's ease of this thing, what is standard or information security standard? What it means is that there is a benchmark. I have given some steps that if you follow these steps, then I will accept you, or I will acknowledge that you have reached a particular maturity, you have reached a particular level of information security. That's what ISO 27001 defines. It basically defines, if you read the bottom section highlighted in yellow color, it's an internationally recognized and a comprehensive information security standard. It has a lot of controls. It says that you have to take backup like this, you have to have your password strong, your password should be 8 characters, 10 characters. It clearly defines a lot of those things. And if you are following that, if you are a company, if you are an entity, if you are following that, that means you are adhering to that standard. And what people do is that they call auditors to test them, to check them against those standard, information security standard, and get a certificate. So it's like it's a good thing to test ourselves. The easiest example I can give you is, many of you would be aware, while we all go through exam colleges, exams in our colleges, but we have something called certification. You might have heard of that why don't you get a certificate in Java? I'm just saying, for example, or why don't you get a certificate in ABC, some line. What does certificate means? That you prepare for that subject and you give the exam, and then somebody is authorizing, they're issuing a certificate saying that yes, you follow these things, you have knowledge of this particular level. So that is what ISO 27001 is. It's an information security standard. It tells how you should use the information, how you should protect it, how you should take backups, and all those things. And that is why this is one of the very important standards and commonly adopted, commonly used globally. With that, I'll come to an end to my session. I know we just left with 7 minutes, but I'll invite, how do you suggest how we can do this piece? More than happy to, hear questions either on the chat window or somebody can help me, let me know. Happy to address.
Yeah, Vidur, thanks for a very enlightening session. Two things. One, we have the enough time. It will depend on your other scheduled meetings for the day. One. So because all the important people are here, the principal, the faculty, the students. So we can continue on because one. Two, that you can do. Two is the questions we have asked them to put it in the chat box. So when I looked at the question, some seems to be a little elaborative. Probably within your limited time, you might not be able to take it up. So what I'm suggesting is whatever you can finish in your time is good enough. The rest of the question, we will mail it to you so that you can answer it, and then we will circulate it with the others. The organizer of this meet will, download the questions and then send it to you, which you can at your leisure send it back to us, and then we will circulate it also. So over to you. It is there in your chat box.
Yes.
If you can access that, you can start from the questions.
Okay. Let me do that. And
you are the boss. You can tell me when you want to finish. I will send you result. So my request to all the people listening to is please put your questions in the chat box. In case sir cannot answer it, we will send it to him by mail, and then I will get the answers and bring it back to you.
Sure. Thanks, Matthew. So maybe
and Liz is also here. Liz, you want to say something?
Hi, Vidur.
Hi, ma'am. How are you doing?
I'm good. I enjoyed your talk. When I saw cyber security, I was a little worried that this would be above my head and would I understand. But it was so relevant to our life today. Also considering the amount of shopping we're doing online nowadays, right? So my question is there for you to answer whenever you get the time. I'd love to have an answer on this, because also regarding the passwords, because it's becoming more and more difficult to remember so many passwords, because everywhere, every site, you have to put a password. So you're constantly looking for something which is easy to remember, which you can relate to. And this is a constant battle, because my daughter will say, Ma, you cannot use that. It is so easy to find out, and I can only think of either somebody's birth date or my name connected with a number or my dog, cat, so that's a battle. How do you remember so many passwords is the next question, I mean, somewhere in our memory, we have to start replacing, throw some other trash out and start putting in passwords into our memory. Or as Koshi always tells me, write it down. So great talk, lovely talk, Vidur. I really enjoyed this, and I think it's so relevant for us. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those sweet words. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be a part of this session. What I will do is I think I can definitely stretch for next 7, 8 minutes, 10 minutes kind of a thing. I'll do that, and I'll start with this question itself. It's a very common one, and each one of us face that. I myself and everybody, that I have my office password, my bank password, my everything. I was talking about my mobile Airtel password or various things. Two things. One, unfortunately, there is no easy way. There is no, if I may say, there is no easy answer to it. Writing it down. So there are two views to it. Not a preferred way, but of course, that if it's like a personal diary, that only you are accessing, or just one or two of you, you and somebody known in your family, and where you're keeping it, kind of a thing. It's specifically kept in your Almera kind of a thing is all right. But one of the things which I would request each one of us to do is that maybe even if we use a commonly known name or commonly known dates, the only thing which makes it difficult for somebody to crack, and when I say, see, people are not guessing, they are using machine, they're using algorithms to try and crack. Please put some of the special characters. So what I mean to say is, if I have to say 1, 2, 3, 4, and I personally use it a lot of times, even just a simple thing 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not saying the password is 1, 2, 3, 4. There will be some word and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, if you see on your, most of you see on your computer, you will see exclamation mark and @ is the sign over 1 and 2. So please make sure that instead of 1 and 2, you use shift button and 1 and 2. That seems like a very simple, minimal thing, but that takes the complexity of password to a different level. So if a machine is trying to attack you or trying to attack this thing, trying to crack your password, suddenly the difficulty level goes multiple times. It's not just one level, it goes multiple times. So that's the easiest thing I would suggest to each one of us, that use some high caps, lower caps, and especially characters in between kind of a thing. The other thing is also, there are something called, some of the softwares which are available called Password Vault, which are available especially in mobile, this thing. You can use that also. Password Vault is again a encrypted small software application. It gives you a option that you can list your passwords and store it. And even to access that Password Vault also, you would need your thumb impression or your face impression. So God forbid if your phone is lost or stolen, somebody else will not be able to break into that, and it is stored encrypted. So that's something which can be used. What I'll use is, let me pick up few questions, and as Matthew said, yes, I would request that maybe you can take a copy of these chat and you can share the questions with me. I'll be happy to address. Allow me 3-4 days and I'll come back with answers or links. What I will do is, right now I'm just picking few questions specifically. I see someone asked that what is IoT security and how information can be protected from Trojan horses. I'll first, for everybody's benefit, what is IoT? Internet of Things, if many of you have heard, and why it is important. What is Internet of Things? Starting from those basic Fitbit kind, I don't know if many of you use those nowadays devices where it monitors how many steps I have taken, how many, what is my heartbeat, what is my sleep, and all those things. Many of us use that, on our wrist, as well as what you see it on traffic lights, or what you see it in our electricity meters nowadays, saying that it is actually saying that you would have heard that if the traffic is higher, then the red light will reduce its time and the green light will be there for a wider time, kind of a thing. Or maybe in the electricity thing, there are small diodes which are monitoring what is the usage of your electricity bill, what is the usage of your water, or some of those things which are intelligent, which are basically intelligent devices embedded in the physical world. That is what IoT or OT, IoT is predominantly Internet of Things. Yes, it is very important. Security, again, just like IT security, just like passwords and some of those pieces, there are certain measures, not essentially like password, but there are certain protocols, there are certain configuration settings, if I may call it, when we are installing those devices, which have to be done, and they are very important. That has to be done. You would have heard a lot of places now in India are coming up with something called smart city. They have these smart parking, smart lighting, that in the night automatically the light switches on. As the morning comes, as the sun comes, the light switches off. So all of them have IoT enabled in them. They have many of them have nowadays. Cities have central command center where you see a lot of CCTVs which are there on on traffic junctions, and that is getting collated. So IoT security is important. There are certain steps to be carried out. That is something important. I would just suggest that whatever wearable devices that you wear, sometimes you use, please make sure that information that you keep it secure with a strong password. What is Trojan horses? Just for everybody, Trojan horse is more like a malware. It is basically what it means in a very, very layman is, it looks like a normal file. It looks like a Word document or a picture to us, a simple picture. Somebody has sent me a picture of my favorite actor, favorite actress. I'm glad to open it and see. But behind that image, there is a small code which is sitting, and it starts copying my file, or it starts deleting my file. What is the best way to prevent that? Two things. One, please do not open attachments from unknown people. So if you do not know come from, it seems like a lottery winner at the rate lottery.com. Seems like a hey Vidur, click here and you will win 10,000 rupees. Don't open those attachments. Please believe me, there is nothing like free. There is nothing called free money. I'm sure all you students know that. I know all of you work hard, study hard, so you do understand this concept that there is nothing called free money. So please don't believe in that. And the second thing is that please have those antivirus installed on your computer. There are a lot of freeware antivirus tools also available, as well as there are some of them paid ones. Some of them have very minimal things, especially for students. For example, they charge 500 or 1,000 rupees a year, something like that. That kind of antivirus cost. So I would encourage that try and see if you can look at the commercial ones, or otherwise there are good freeware antivirus also to prevent this thing. I see a second question, someone calling, what is network sniffing? I'll pick up that question. The reason is, if you remember, I did talk about that electricity tapping. You guys remember when I was telling you about that someone steals electricity in that manner, and in a very, very layman thing, that is what network sniffing is. If I may have to explain, right now, for example, I'm sitting in Gurgaon, and many of you are in Coimbatore or different places within India. In your hometown, you might be connected. Now the information is traveling over wire. The information is traveling through digital medium. What if somebody had to sniff that? Network sniffing. What essentially means that if it can find out that Vidur is connected via Google Meet, and let me try to read the information which is going. Of course, right now it is a video information, or maybe in between when it was slides which were being presented. So if somebody can have a mechanism to log into that, tap into that Google session, tap into that session which is currently going on, that is called network sniffing. It is a fairly, if I may say, complicated mechanism. I'm not saying that it's not possible. It is possible. It's just that those hackers or those people attention need some sort of tools. There are a lot of technology and tools available which scans the network and which can latch onto the ongoing session, as well as it needs knowledge about networks. What networks? How can I insert some similar looking information onto the packet so that the packet starts coming to me? When I say packets, I'm talking about network packets, that it starts coming to me and it seems like as if I am also one of the users. So that is what network sniffing in a very layman is, that it is tapping into the network kind of thing. I'll just take last question, and it seems somewhat related to the examples I was giving. One of the students has asked, how we identify that Airtel or someone else has leaked our information, because our information is available with so many, with Airtel, Wi-Fi providers, and so on. A very valid this thing, and slightly difficult to answer, that how will you as an individual get to know? The only two things which I will say is, one, that any of the large breach, any of the large information security leakages, you would get to know from the newspapers or from the information. There will be a lot of bad news around it. Unfortunately, bad reputation to somebody like an Airtel, Vodafone, kind of a thing. In no ways I'm saying that they are doing bad. I've been using them for last 10-15 years. They are doing a good job, decent job. So one is that you will get to know via that. But the second and more important, if I understand your question, that will I as a user, will Vidur ever get to know? That is where our privacy law is still being formed. You might have heard that I talked about IT Act 2000 and 2008. There is a privacy law which is coming in, and it's called Personal Information Act, which is PDP, which is coming in, Personal Information Act, which is essentially going to define that if somebody has leaked in information, it is their responsibility to go and inform. So what it means in this example is that if unfortunately sometime maybe Airtel has a small circle, even if it is for a city, maybe 10,000 of its users, unfortunately it leaked. What it is their responsibility that they will have to reach out to those 10,000 customers. They might have to send an SMS, or they might have to send an email saying that, you know what, we had your information, there was an unfortunate incident, somebody hacked into the database and they have stolen your information. So it will become their responsibility, and that will be enforced by the law, that they will be legally responsible to disclose that or inform that. But that is still yet to happen. So therefore, when you say how will we get to know, right now it's a little tricky thing. The only way you will get to know is when some misinformation, some bad press or some information gets leaked out, kind of a thing is there. So with that, I'm really glad. I do see a lot of questions around Wi-Fi, questions around cyber attacks and all. I'll be happy to. In fact, somebody has also asked about is career in cybersecurity stressful? I'll take it on a lighter note. I think each one of us, whichever job we are doing, it needs our full rigor and full energy to be spent. So I won't call it specifically this thing. It's just as equal as to whatever profession we are doing. So I'll request maybe Mr. Matthew, happy to take those questions. If you can help me with capture it on the email, I'll address them.
Yeah, Vidur, thank you so much. I know I don't want to take much of your time now because you'll be busy with other meetings. As I said, the organizer will be downloading the questions, and then, we will touch base on your email. And my request to any of the girls who have forgotten to put their questions here, kindly send the questions to Divya, who is the organizer. She will compile it together and then send it across to you. You can also take your own time to answer them. I know that. And would like to see you. I mean, I said we'll see you back on Tuesday morning, same time. Thank you so much, Vidur. Unless Elizabeth wants to say something.
Just a big thank you, Vidur. This for us is a very rare, how do I say, opportunity. And I think we're very lucky and fortunate to have you here and share all this information with us. It's always nice to be reminded again and again. Great to have that forum where we can send you our questions and you can answer them for us also. Thank you so much really for taking time off your schedule and being with us, Vidur.
Sure, no problem. Welcome. Thank you very much. And yes, I'll see you around.
Actually, you put it so beautifully. You explained it. You simplified it. In such a nice way. It was not scary. It was not, large. Then very digestible. So it was nice.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah.
And have a wonderful day ahead. Have a wonderful weekend ahead.
Thank you, Vidur. We have copied your speech and we are going to make it as a resource material for our students and teachers to refer later. And so I'll also ask you to share your nice deck for them so that they can keep it their resource document.
Absolutely. I'll do that, Koshi.
Thank you, Vidur. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Vidur. In fact, about 100 girls have joined offline from our hostels. So you can see only about 100 of them joining their own individual devices. So another 100 more there. They were listening to you.
That's very nice.
Thank you so much.
Very nice. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.